You probably heard stories like the tortoise and the hare when you were young. But what if those simple tales were never meant just for children? We are about to uncover the surprisingly mature wisdom hidden within Aesop's fables, lessons about greed, trust, and human nature that are more relevant to your adult life than you might think. By the end of this, you will see these classic stories in a completely new and startling light. Why does a fox pretending he never wanted some grapes reveal a fundamental flaw in our own psychology? And how can a tiny mouse teach a mighty lion a lesson about power and humility? What is the one fable you remember from childhood that might have a completely different meaning for you today? That triumphant tortoise did not just win a race, he exposed a flaw that brings down countless talented individuals every single day. The hare's failure was not a lack of speed, but an overabundance of arrogance. For us as adults, that familiar fable is less about pace and more about the profound dangers of complacency. Think about your own career. You might know someone, perhaps even yourself, who started with a brilliant advantage, a natural talent that set them apart. They were the hare sprinting ahead of the competition, convinced of their inevitable victory. But then a subtle shift occurs. That initial confidence curdles into overconfidence. They stop preparing for meetings, neglect skill development, assuming their innate ability will always carry them through. Meanwhile, the tortoises in the office, those consistent, dedicated workers, keep showing up, putting in the focused effort day after day. They do not have the flashy start, but they possess the relentless finish. This is the true core of the story. It is a warning that talent without discipline is a wasted gift. Look at the explosive world of tech startups. A company with a groundbreaking idea, the Hare of its industry, might secure massive funding and media buzz overnight. But if its leadership becomes arrogant, if it believes the race is already won, it can be devastatingly overtaken by a slower, more methodical competitor who simply focuses on building a better, more reliable product, one line of code at a time. The same principle applies to a personal fitness journey. Someone might begin with a burst of intense motivation, working out for 2 hours a day, only to burn out and quit within a month. The true success goes to the person who commits to a 30-minute walk 4 days a week and never misses. That consistent, seemingly small effort compounds into a transformation that the sporadic sprinter will never see. The tortoise's victory whispers a crucial lesson in humility. It reminds us that no matter how gifted we are, we must never underestimate the power of steady, determined progress. The hare's nap was not just a rest, it was a symbolic surrender to his own ego. So what happens when our ego is not just about arrogance, but about a refusal to accept a reality we cannot have? That very human tendency leads us to one of the most psychologically revealing fables ever written. That refusal to accept reality brings us to a fable that cuts straight to the financial and emotional anxieties of modern adulthood. The ant and the grasshopper presents us with two starkly different philosophies of life. While the ant toils through the summer, storing food for the winter, the grasshopper sings and dances, believing the good weather will last forever. As children, we saw a simple lesson about laziness. As adults, we see a chillingly accurate portrait of two approaches to our own futures. The ant embodies the principle of delayed gratification, the ability to resist an immediate pleasure for a greater long-term reward. This is not just about saving money, it is about investing in your own future security. The grasshopper, on the other hand, lives for the immediate high, mistaking a temporary season of abundance for a permanent state of affairs. His failure is not a lack of joy, but a lack of foresight. Think about the modern equivalent of the ant's winter. It is not just a cold season, it is a sudden job loss, an unexpected medical bill, or the slow creep of old age without a retirement fund. The ant is not a joyless workaholic. The ant is someone who understands that true freedom in the future is purchased with disciplined effort today. They contribute to their 401k, they build an emergency fund, they learn new skills to stay relevant in a shifting job market. This is the hard work that builds a societal safety net, not just for the individual but for the entire community. The grasshopper's philosophy, however, is amplified by our modern world. The gig economy can feel like an endless summer, offering immediate payment for immediate work. There is a powerful temptation to live entirely in that moment, to spend what you earn as you earn it, chasing the next thrill or the next delivery gig. There is nothing wrong with enjoying the present, but the peril comes from having no plan for when the seasons inevitably change. When the work dries up or your body can no longer keep the frantic pace, what then? The fable forces us to ask a difficult question. Are we building a storehouse for our future selves, or are we merely singing while the sun shines, hoping winter never comes? This is not a call to abandon all joy for grim responsibility. It is a plea for balance. The wisest among us learn from both the ant and the grasshopper. They work with purpose to secure their tomorrow, but they also make sure to occasionally put down their burdens and simply listen to the music. The true tragedy of the grasshopper is that he never planned for a day when he could enjoy his music without the gnawing fear of starvation. His story is a warning that a life lived only for the moment can become a prison when that moment passes. And this leads us to ponder an even deeper question about the nature of our own desires. What happens when the thing we crave is not just out of reach, but we convince ourselves we never wanted it in the first place? That human tendency to lie to ourselves about what we want finds its mirror in the even more dangerous habit of lying to others. The story of the boy who cried wolf is a childhood lesson about honesty that transforms into a stark adult warning about the fragility of our social reputation. As children, we learn the boy is punished for his lies. As adults, we see he is punished by a system that has learned he cannot be trusted. His final, genuine cry for help goes unanswered, not because the villagers are cruel, but because he has systematically bankrupted his own credibility. This fable is a brutal lesson in social capital, the invisible currency of trust that we all possess. Every time you keep a promise, tell an uncomfortable truth, or act with integrity, you make a deposit. Every white lie, every broken commitment, every exaggerated story is a withdrawal. The boy spent his entire balance on cheap laughs and momentary attention, leaving nothing for the emergency he never saw coming. In our professional lives, this erosion happens slowly. Imagine a colleague who consistently overpromises and underdelivers. At first, their grand ideas are exciting. But after the third missed deadline or the fifth inflated claim, their words lose all power. When they finally have a truly brilliant, viable idea, no one listens. The market for their personal brand has crashed. The same principle holds true in our personal relationships. A friend who constantly cancels plans at the last minute, or a partner who tells small, convenient lies, is slowly depleting their emotional trust fund. One day, when they genuinely need support or understanding, they may find a closed door where they expected an open one. The villagers did not stop caring about the boy's safety. They stopped believing his words, and that is a far more profound isolation. This ancient story is terrifyingly relevant in our digital age, where misinformation can spread faster than any cry for help from a hillside. We are all, in a way, living in that village, surrounded by countless voices crying wolf. Clickbait headlines, doctored videos, and sensationalized rumors are the modern equivalent of the boy's false alarms. They are designed to grab our attention, to trigger our fear or outrage. But with every false alarm we encounter, our collective ability to discern real danger from manufactured crisis is diminished. We become the weary villagers, increasingly numb and skeptical, a state that is dangerously exploitable. When a real threat emerges, a genuine crisis that requires our united attention and action, will we even recognize it through the noise, or will we, too, scroll past with a cynical sigh? The boy's ultimate tragedy was not the wolf, but the self-inflicted destruction of his own lifeline. His story forces us to conduct a brutal audit of our own integrity. Are our words aligned with our actions? Do we guard our credibility with the same ferocity we guard our other possessions? Because in the end, when a real wolf appears at our own door, the only thing that might save us is the trust we have carefully built in those we call for help. That fragile ego we protect so fiercely is perfectly captured in a fable about a fox and some out-of-reach grapes. After leaping repeatedly and failing to grasp the fruit, the fox walks away, muttering that the grapes were probably sour anyway. As children, we laugh at the silly fox. As adults, we often fail to see that we are that fox. This story is a masterclass in a psychological phenomenon called cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort we feel when our actions and our beliefs do not match. The fox believed he was clever and deserving, but his actions proved he was incapable of getting what he wanted. That contradiction was too painful to accept, so his mind resolved it by changing his belief about the grapes. They were not desirable, they were sour. This is not just a fable about a fox, it is a mirror held up to our own rationalizations. Think about a promotion you were certain you would get, a job you felt was yours. When it goes to someone else, the immediate gut reaction is often to diminish the prize itself. That job must have had terrible hours. That promotion would have just meant more stress. We perform these mental gymnastics to shield our self-esteem from the sting of rejection. We convince ourselves we never wanted those sour grapes in the first place. This sour grapes attitude extends deeply into our personal lives. Perhaps you had a deep romantic interest in someone who did not reciprocate your feelings. The painful belief that you are likable conflicts with the reality of their disinterest. To resolve that dissonance, it is far easier to decide they were emotionally unavailable or had a flawed character than to sit with the simple, painful fact that the connection was not there. We sour the grape of the relationship to make its loss easier to swallow. The danger in this ancient coping mechanism is that it robs us of the opportunity for genuine growth. By dismissing every unreached goal as inherently undesirable, we never have to confront our own shortcomings. We never ask the hard questions. Did I lack a specific skill for that job? Could I have communicated my interest more effectively? Was my approach the problem? The fox walking away from the grapes learns nothing about his jumping technique. He simply learns to devalue what he cannot have, a strategy that guarantees he will remain forever hungry. This is the subtle trap of cognitive dissonance. It feels like a protective shield, but it is actually a cage. It locks us into a version of reality where we are always right, and every failure is merely a fortunate escape. To break free, we must learn to sit with the discomfort of not getting what we want. We must allow ourselves to feel the sting of disappointment without immediately reaching for the anesthetic of rationalization. Only then can we see the grapes for what they truly are, neither magically perfect nor inherently sour, but simply a fruit that for now remains out of reach. And that honest assessment is the first, most difficult step toward building a taller ladder. That cage of self-deception is built from the belief that our own strength is absolute and self-sufficient. Yet one of Aesop's most beloved fables shatters that very illusion, revealing how the most powerful among us can be saved by the most seemingly insignificant. The lion, king of the beasts, scoffs at the idea that a tiny mouse could ever be of service to him. His might is his entire identity, but when trapped and entangled in a hunter's net, his roaring strength is useless. It is the mouse's small, sharp teeth patiently gnawing through the ropes that grant him true freedom. On the surface, this is a sweet story about helping others. For adults navigating the complex web of modern life, it is a masterclass in three profound principles. The first is the unexpected strength of the small. We often fall into the lion's trap of believing that only grand gestures, massive investments, or powerful connections make a difference. We overlook the small acts, the minor favors, the quiet expertise of those who operate outside the spotlight. In a corporate setting, the mouse might be the quiet intern who knows the archaic filing system that holds the key to a legal dispute, or the administrative assistant who can navigate bureaucratic red tape in minutes when the vice president is stymied for days. Their power is not in their title, but in their specific, overlooked knowledge. The second lesson is the importance of humility regardless of status. The lion's initial act of mercy, letting the mouse go instead of crushing it, was not a calculated investment. It was an act of grace, a momentary decision that status did not require cruelty. He did not help the mouse expecting a return. He did it because he could. This is the purest form of humility, a recognition that power does not obligate you to dominate everything weaker. In our own lives, this translates to how we treat everyone, from the restaurant server to the new junior employee. Are we kind because we expect something, or simply because it is the right way to be human? The lion had no idea his freedom would one day depend on that single act of restraint. The third and most crucial principle is the powerful network of reciprocity that defines adult success. This is not the cold, transactional tit-for-tat of business deals. This is the organic, often invisible web of goodwill that you weave throughout your life. When you help a colleague from another department with a project that does not benefit you, you are gnawing a tiny strand on their rope. When you offer genuine advice to a struggling competitor or mentor someone with no power to promote you, you are building a network of trust that exists outside the org chart. The modern world calls this social capital, but the fable understands it as a simple human truth. You never know which mouse will one day find you trapped in your own net. Your net might be a sudden layoff, and the mouse is a former contact who now leads a team at your dream company. Your net might be a creative block, and the mouse is a casual acquaintance who offers the perfect solution you could not see. The lion's roaring could not save him. Only the quiet, consistent work of a connection he had almost forgotten could do that. The most successful people in business and in life are not just the lions. They are the ones who understand that the entire ecosystem, from the smallest mouse to the mightiest predator, is interconnected. They help without the immediate expectation of reward because they know that the most valuable returns are often the most unforeseen. Your greatest asset may not be your strength, but the depth of your humility and the breadth of your kindness. And this leads us to a final, unsettling question about the nature of happiness itself. Is the relentless pursuit of more, the hunger that drives the fox and the grasshopper, actually the very thing that prevents us from grasping the contentment that is already within our reach? That relentless hunger for more often leads us to believe that force is the fastest path to getting what we want. Yet one of Aesop's most elegant fables presents a powerful challenge to that very assumption. The north wind and the sun argue over who is stronger, and they decide to settle the bet by seeing which of them can force a traveler to remove his cloak. The north wind goes first, unleashing a furious, violent gale, howling and tearing at the man. But the traveler only clutches his cloak tighter, wrapping it around himself for protection against the onslaught. Then the sun takes its turn. It does not command or threaten. It simply shines gently and warmly, radiating a comforting heat. In minutes, the traveler, feeling the pleasant warmth, voluntarily unties his cloak and takes it off. The sun wins not by force but by persuasion. As children, we see a simple contest of strength versus warmth. As adults navigating complex relationships and careers, we see a brilliant dissection of influence itself. The north wind represents the fallacy of coercive power. It believes that pressure, demands, and intimidation are the tools of control. In the workplace, this is the manager who rules by fear, barking orders, and threatening consequences. They might secure short-term compliance, but they inspire long-term resentment, secrecy, and a workforce that does the bare minimum, clinging to its cloak of self-protection. The employees, like the traveler, will only tighten their resistance, hiding their true ideas and efforts to shield themselves from the harsh environment. The sun, in stark contrast, embodies the principle of empathetic persuasion. It does not try to tear the cloak away, it makes the traveler want to remove it. This is the essence of true leadership and effective communication. It is about creating conditions where people feel safe, valued, and understood, so that change becomes their own choice. Think of a parent trying to get a resistant child to put on a coat. The north wind parent would yell, struggle, and force the child's arms into the sleeves, resulting in tears and a power struggle. The sun parent might simply open the door and say, "Biara, it is chilly out there, I am going to put my coat on." They make the child feel the cold for themselves, allowing them to reach for the coat on their own terms. The outcome is the same, but the emotional residue and the lesson learned are worlds apart. This fable offers a masterclass in modern negotiation. The aggressive negotiator, the north wind, comes in with extreme demands, threats of walking away, and attempts to blow the other party over. This often backfires, causing the other side to dig in their heels, conceal their true bottom line, and become adversarial. The skilled negotiator, however, acts like the sun. They seek to understand the other person's underlying interests and needs. They build rapport and create an atmosphere of mutual benefit. They do not attack the other party's position. They warm them to the idea of a collaborative solution. The agreement that is reached voluntarily is always stronger and more durable than one that is forced. Why does this gentle approach so often triumph? Because force only addresses external behavior, while persuasion transforms internal motivation. The north wind could never make the traveler want to be without his cloak. It could only make him afraid of the cold. Fear is a brittle and exhausting motivator. The sun, however, connected with the traveler's own desire for comfort. It made him feel warm, and in that warmth the cloak became unnecessary. This is the profound difference between compliance and commitment. You can force compliance through threats, but you can only earn commitment through respect and genuine influence. The ultimate victory of the sun is a quiet but powerful reminder that our greatest strength often lies not in our ability to dominate, but in our capacity to connect. In a world that often celebrates the loudest voice and the hardest push, this ancient fable asks us to reconsider our definition of power. True influence is not about making others bend to your will. It is about creating an environment where they choose to walk alongside you, having shed their defenses because they feel safe in your light. That quiet contentment the sun inspires stands in stark contrast to a far more destructive force, a hunger that convinces us what we have is never enough. This brings us to the fable of the dog and its reflection, a story that seems simple but holds a brutal truth about our own psychology. A dog carrying a juicy bone across a bridge looks down into the water and sees another dog, seemingly with an even larger bone. In a fit of greed, it snaps at the reflection, only to lose its own real bone to the current below. As children, we see a foolish dog. As adults, we see a perfect metaphor for the self-sabotage of insatiable desire. The dog's fatal error was not wanting more, but becoming so fixated on the illusion of more that it lost its grip on the tangible reality it already possessed. This fable speaks directly to the heart of modern consumer culture. We are constantly shown the reflection in the water, the mirage of a better life just one purchase away. That new car, that larger house, that latest smartphone, they shimmer in the advertising waters, promising to be the bigger, better bone. The pursuit itself is not the problem. Ambition drives progress. The peril lies in the moment we are willing to drop the solid bone of our current security, our financial stability, or our personal peace to snap at a mere image. How many people have jeopardized a comfortable, paid-off home to take on a massive mortgage for a more impressive address, only to find themselves drowning in stress and debt, the new house feeling hollow? They traded a real bone for a reflection, and the current of reality swept their security away. This comparison trap is now amplified to a deafening volume by social media. We spend our days staring into the river of curated highlight reels, watching the reflections of others who seem to possess bones of unimaginable size and splendor. Their perfect vacations, their flawless relationships, their professional triumphs, these are the reflections we snap at. We drop our own real, good lives, our quiet Saturday morning with a book, our loyal friend who always calls, our steady job that pays the bills in a desperate attempt to grab the illusion of a life we are told we should want. The tragedy is that the reflection is not even another dog's bone. It is a distorted image of our own discontent, magnified by the lens of envy. We lose sight of the substance we hold because we are mesmerized by a phantom. The antidote to this self-destructive greed is not a vow of poverty, but a conscious practice of gratitude and contentment. Contentment is not the absence of desire, it is the deep-seated appreciation for the real bone in your mouth. It is the ability to look at the reflection, acknowledge its allure, and then consciously choose to tighten your grip on what is authentically yours. This means taking stock of the tangible assets you already possess, your health, your key relationships, your core competencies, and recognizing their profound value before you risk them for a shimmering possibility. It is the financial discipline of appreciating a fully funded emergency fund over a speculative, get-rich-quick scheme. It is the emotional wisdom of investing in the deep, familiar love of a long-term partner instead of chasing the thrilling reflection of a new flirtation. The dog's story is a warning that the hunger for more, when untethered from gratitude, becomes a hunger that consumes itself. We are left with nothing because we were convinced that what we had was nothing. In the quiet after the current has taken your real bone, you are forced to confront a chilling question. Was the reflection ever real, or was it just a trick of the light on the water, a phantom created by your own dissatisfaction? The path to a truly richer life may not lie in reaching for a larger bone, but in finally tasting and savoring the one you have always held. That deep appreciation for what we already possess is the very foundation for our greatest ingenuity. A thirsty crow finds a pitcher with water at the bottom, far beyond the reach of its beak. The simple moral we learned as children was about patience, about adding pebbles one by one until the water level rises. But for an adult facing a seemingly impossible problem, this fable is a stunning blueprint for creative breakthrough. The crow's triumph was not just persistence, it was a radical shift in strategy. It looked at an obstacle not as a dead end, but as a system to be reverse-engineered. The pitcher was not a barrier, it was a tool waiting to be understood. This is the essence of true problem-solving, moving beyond the initial, obvious solution that does not work, and inventing a new path entirely. The crow did not just work harder, it worked smarter. It saw the potential in the ordinary pebbles scattered around it, objects that were useless to every other creature, and it imagined a new function for them. This is the mindset of the most successful innovators and entrepreneurs. They look at a stagnant market or a broken system and ask not how to compete within it, but how to change the rules of the game itself. They are the crows finding pebbles. The ride-sharing app did not try to build better taxis. It used the pebbles of smartphone technology and underutilized private cars to raise the water level of urban transportation for everyone. The crow's method was a series of small, deliberate actions. Each pebble raised the water level by a tiny, almost imperceptible amount. There was no single moment of dramatic success, only a steady accumulation of minor progress. This is a powerful lesson for any long-term challenge, whether you're learning a complex new skill, building a business from scratch, or working to improve a strained relationship. The goal can feel impossibly distant, like that water at the bottom of the pitcher. You try the direct approach, you strain and struggle, but you cannot reach it. The temptation is to give up, to walk away thirsty. But the crow teaches us to break the monumental task into a series of tiny, manageable actions. Writing a book is not about producing 80,000 words in a day. It is about writing 300 words today and another 300 tomorrow. Each paragraph is a pebble. Each chapter is a handful. Slowly, imperceptibly, the water level of your manuscript rises until one day you can finally drink from the finished work. This process demands a growth mindset, the belief that your abilities are not fixed, but can be developed through dedication and clever strategy. The crow did not bemoan its short beak, it used its intelligence to extend its reach. When faced with a limitation in our own lives, do we complain about what we lack, or do we start looking for the metaphorical pebbles around us? Perhaps your pebble is a free online course that teaches you a crucial new software. Perhaps it is reaching out to one new contact each week to build a professional network. Perhaps it is a 5-minute daily meditation to gradually raise the water level of your own patience and clarity. The picture represents every challenge that cannot be solved by force alone. You cannot will the water to rise. You cannot tip the pitcher without spilling everything. The only way forward is through a calm, resourceful, and persistent application of intelligence. The crow did not conquer the pitcher through strength or speed, but through an idea. And in that simple, elegant solution lies a timeless truth. The most powerful resource we possess is not what we have, but how we think. Our ability to look at a world of obstacles and see a landscape full of tools is what ultimately quenches our deepest thirst. That crow's ingenious solution reveals a profound truth about defining success on our own terms. Another fable takes this idea further, directly challenging our very definitions of a good life. The story of the town mouse and the country mouse presents two cousins living in dramatically different worlds. The country mouse offers a simple meal of roots and acorns in his safe, quiet burrow. The town mouse, visiting from the city, scoffs at this humble fare and invites his cousin back to a mansion for a taste of true luxury. They feast on rich foods and fine wines, but their banquet is constantly interrupted by the terrifying arrival of dogs and humans, forcing them to flee and hide in constant fear. In the end, the country mouse decides to return home, declaring he would rather eat his simple beans in peace than live surrounded by plenty but in perpetual anxiety. As children, we saw a simple choice between boring safety and exciting danger. As adults navigating complex life decisions, we see a powerful commentary on the trade-offs we all must weigh. The town represents the allure of ambition, status, and sensory stimulation. It is the high-powered career, the cosmopolitan social scene, the constant buzz of opportunity and novelty. The country represents the appeal of tranquility, autonomy, and deep-rooted security. It is the stable job with predictable hours, the tight-knit community, the peace of a quiet evening. The fable's genius is that it refuses to declare one lifestyle superior to the other. Instead, it forces us to acknowledge that every choice contains a hidden cost. The town mouse pays for his luxury with his peace of mind. His wealth is inextricably linked to the fear of losing it, the constant competition, and the noise that never truly stops. The country mouse pays for his peace with a certain kind of obscurity and a lack of worldly excitement. His security comes at the cost of never tasting the exotic foods or experiencing the thrilling pace of the city. This is not an ancient dilemma, it is the modern adult's central conflict. Do you pursue a high-stakes, high-reward career in a bustling metropolis, accepting the long hours and intense pressure as the price for that life? Or do you choose a quieter path in a smaller community, trading potential wealth and prestige for greater control over your time and well-being? The story resonates deeply with anyone who has ever felt the grass might be greener somewhere else. The country mouse visiting the town experiences a temporary euphoria seduced by the splendor. But he quickly realizes the environment is not sustainable for him. The constant state of alarm is a tax on his soul that the rich food cannot repay. Similarly, many of us chase a promotion or a move to a glamorous city, only to find the reality is a relentless grind that leaves us feeling hollow and exhausted. We have the feast, but we are always listening for the barking dogs. Conversely, the town mouse might visit the country and find the silence deafening, the simplicity feeling like deprivation. He would miss the energy, the challenges, the sense of being at the center of everything. This fable's ultimate lesson is about self-awareness. It asks us to identify what we truly value, not what society tells us we should value. Is your personal success defined by external markers, a title, a salary, a zip code? Or is it defined by internal states, a sense of safety, the quality of your relationships, the freedom to think without interruption? The country mouse's final decision is an act of profound self-knowledge. He is not judging his cousin's life, he is simply recognizing that it is not the life for him. He defines his own success, and it is measured in peace, not in pastries. In our own lives, this means conducting an honest audit of our choices. Are we enduring a high-stress job because we genuinely thrive on the challenge, or because we are afraid of being seen as less ambitious? Are we living in a place that aligns with our core needs, or one that merely looks impressive on social media? The town mouse and the country mouse both have valid desires, but only one of them, in the end, chooses the environment that truly nourishes his spirit. Your feast is not defined by the food on the table, but by the quality of the silence that surrounds it while you eat. That profound need to define success beyond mere accumulation leads us directly to a fable about a different kind of hunger, a greed so myopic it destroys its own source of wealth. A farmer becomes the astonished owner of a goose that lays a single, solid gold egg every single morning. At first, this seems like the ultimate fortune, a miracle of perpetual abundance. But the farmer's impatience and greed quickly corrupt his logic. He becomes convinced the goose must contain a massive lump of gold inside its belly, a treasure trove he can seize all at once. In a brutal act of short-sightedness, he slaughters the goose, only to find nothing but ordinary flesh and bone. He has traded a lifetime of golden mornings for a single, bloody, and utterly worthless discovery. As children, we gasp at the farmer's foolishness. As adults, we must confront the unsettling truth that this same destructive logic plays out in our economies, our careers, and our planet every single day. This story is a masterclass in understanding the difference between an asset and a resource. The goose was not the asset, the golden eggs were not the asset. The goose's ability to produce the eggs was the true asset. The farmer confused the output with the system that created it, and in destroying the system, he obliterated all future output. In the world of business, this translates to the dangerous pursuit of quarterly profits at the expense of long-term company health. A new CEO might be brought in to boost shareholder value quickly. They achieve this by slashing research and development budgets, firing experienced but higher-paid employees, and cutting corners on product quality. The stock price soars for a few quarters and they collect their massive bonus. They have delivered golden eggs, but they have mortally wounded the goose. The company's innovative spirit is gone, its institutional knowledge depleted, its product reputation tarnished. A few years later, the company is bankrupt, unable to compete because the very engine of its future value was sacrificed for a short-term spike. This is the tyranny of the immediate return, and it is a siren song that has wrecked countless corporations. The same principle applies with devastating clarity to our relationship with the natural world. Our planet is the ultimate goose, the forests that purify our air and regulate our climate, the oceans that teem with life and drive global weather patterns, the fertile soil that grows our food. These are not just resources to be harvested. They are complex, living systems that produce value over millennia. Clear-cutting a rainforest for quick lumber profit is killing the goose. Overfishing a species to the brink of extinction for a few more seasons of catch is killing the goose. Draining an aquifer for unsustainable agriculture is killing the goose. We are seizing what feels like a lump of gold today while ensuring a barren and impoverished tomorrow. The fable forces us to ask, are we farmers or stewards? Are we managing for the next quarter or for the next generation? This mindset is equally critical in our personal financial lives. The goose represents your capital, your ability to generate returns. The golden eggs are the income or growth that capital produces. An investor who constantly chases speculative, get-rich-quick schemes is effectively taking a knife to their financial goose. They might get lucky once or twice, but they are far more likely to lose their principal, their ability to ever produce another golden egg. The patient investor, however, nurtures their goose. They invest in a diversified portfolio and allow compound interest to work its magic over decades. They live off the golden eggs, the dividends and steady growth, while carefully protecting the underlying asset that produces them. They understand that true wealth is not a lump sum to be spent, but a productive system to be maintained and grown. The farmer's tragic error was a failure of imagination and patience. He could not see the immense, unfolding value of 10,000 golden mornings. He was so fixated on the possibility of one big score that he blinded himself to the certainty of 1,000 small ones. His greed was not for wealth but for instant gratification, and it made him the architect of his own poverty. In our own lives, whether we are leading a team, managing our finances, or considering our impact on the earth, the question remains the same. Are we patiently collecting the golden eggs, grateful for the steady abundance? Or are we, in a moment of impatient folly, reaching for the knife? These ancient stories were never simple nursery rhymes. They are a masterclass in human psychology disguised as animal tales. The slow tortoise, the desperate fox, the patient crow, each one holds up a mirror to our own ambitions, our fears, and our rationalizations. The true magic of Aesop's fables is how they reveal that the greatest challenges we face are not external, but internal. Our own ego, our impatience, our greed, our refusal to see the world as it truly is, these are the real wolves and the tangled nets. These fables give us a shared language to talk about the most complex parts of life, from office politics to personal finance, from leadership to the very definition of a life well lived. They teach us that wisdom is not about knowing all the answers, but about asking the right questions of ourselves. The next time you recall one of these stories from your childhood, pause for a moment. Look past the talking animals and the simple plot. Ask yourself what deeper truth about your own life it might be trying to tell you. Which of these fables, now that you have seen their hidden depths, resonates most powerfully with your own journey? Was it the farmer who killed his golden goose, a warning you have seen play out in your own industry? Or perhaps the country mouse whose choice for peace over prestige speaks directly to a decision you're weighing right now? We would love to hear your reflections in the comments below. Share the one fable whose adult meaning struck a chord with you. And if you are eager to continue this journey of uncovering hidden wisdom, consider subscribing for more content that turns the familiar into the profound.